back to the Daily Grind. Thanks for checking out the channel. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back pickle biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
UFC rising star Darren Till is ripping Kamaru Usman's excuses for his lackluster performance versus Emil Meek at UFC St. Louis. And when I say lackluster, I don't mean like it wasn't a dominant performance, because it was, but it wasn't the most exciting performance, and Kamaru Usman on the mic said he was only at 30%, and Darren Till is taking aim at that. Also, Darren Till is saying that he would miss UFC London for a chance to prove he's the UFC's greatest striker in a fight versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. This is some of the things Darren Till had to say. He said, talking about Kamaru Usman, he said, he might be able to do that to Emil Meek, but he wouldn't be able to do it to me. I'm twice the size of him, for fuck's sake, and I'm twice as strong as him. He's talking about how he was pretty dominant versus Emil Meek. He dominated him with the grappling. Darren Till also went on to say he didn't watch the fight, but he heard that Kamaru Usman's striking was trash, essentially, and that he just dominated the fight with this grappling, and that's why he said what he had to say here. He also said about the 30% comments, he said there's no excuses, whether you've got a broken bone, or you're 30%, or you're sick. If you agree to fight, you agree to fight. So I don't, people don't want to hear afterward you were 30% because you went in that cage. So he's not really accepting those excuses. Kamaru Usman's been getting a lot of slack, and it is true. Yes, it wasn't the most exciting fight, and some people are saying, Kamaru Usman was supposed to put on a show in this fight, because he's been talking about how he's the best welterweight, and a lot of people have been saying he's the dark horse of the division. But so when you got all of these eyes on you now in this performance, it wasn't the most exciting fight. We saw the crowd was booing, and he didn't even just after the fight, there wasn't raving reviews for Kamaru Usman's fight. Now, me personally, I was fine with the fight just because I knew Kamaru Usman was a dominant force, and that's what he did. He went in there and dominated. Now, it wasn't the most entertaining fight, but I mean, look at Tyron Woodley. You can say his fight versus Damian Maia or his second fight versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. They're not the most entertaining fights, but he's a dominant champion. Now, and I know that Tyron Woodley also gets a rap for fucking having boring fights, but to me that's not really the case, especially in the Damian Maia fight, considering the shoulder. And then the Stephen Wonderboy Thompson one fight was fight of the night at UFC 205, and the second fight was almost a repeat of that, minus the almost finishes. But either way, Tyron Woodley aside, Kamaru Usman's performance versus Emil Meek aside, I mean, he's another unranked opponent. Kamaru Usman is a guy that he's on a 6-fight winning streak. He won the Ultimate Fighter. Now he's on a 6-fight winning streak. He's been dominating guys, but it's looking like he's going to have to go on a 8 or 9 fight winning streak to get his title shot, because whenever a fighter doesn't have the most exciting fighting style, a la a Colby Covington or a Chael Sonnen, they have to sell their fights with their mouth. Now, Kamaru Usman, he's not the most disrespectful guy. He will come in here and, say that I'm going to dominate somebody, but he's not the most disrespectful guy to sell fights in that way. So Kamaru Usman is stuck in a situation where, yeah, you're a great fighter, but nobody really wants to see you fight as far as on the casual scale, especially whenever they tune in. Like, let's say I was hyping people up, telling my brother, hey, a casual fan, I know you don't watch much, but hey, look, this dude is a dominant force in the welterweight division on his way up. So if he tunes in and sees that Emil Meek performance, it's like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Those type of people, that's not a good look. So with that being said, Darren Till has also talked about UFC London and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Now, this is the most entertaining or the most interesting part of what Darren Till had to say, because Darren Till and UFC London in my head is almost been a must. Like, Darren Till wanted to fight at the end of 2017 again. He said if it was up to him, he'd be fighting maybe at the December 30th card, but his team wanted him to take a break because he had been very active and he just needed some time off. But so we heard about the UFC London card. We just thought Darren Till was a shoe-in. If anybody was going to be on the UFC London card, whether it's Michael Bisping's retirement fight, we thought Darren Till was also going to be on that card. Or Darren Till, who was DTF, down to fight anybody, anywhere, and it's funny, he beat Donald Cowboy Cerrone, and Darren Till now also has that fucking moniker. Darren Till is down to fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. It doesn't matter if it's in his hometown, your hometown, or if it's a veteran coming up, or if it's the best striker. He's fucking down to fight. It doesn't matter if you're Kamaru Usman, who's a dominant force, but no one even really wants to see the fight. Darren Till is one of the only people that have said, hey, I'm down to fight this guy. I don't care. He's not going to be able to do to me what he does to everybody else. Darren Till is fucking DTF. So, but I thought he was 100% on this UFC London card, and that still may be the case. But the only reason he said he might not want to be on that card is if he can get the Wonderboy fight. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, we all know, hasn't been too interested in this Darren Till fight whenever it was first announced, whenever Dana White let us know that Wonderboy versus Darren Till was being targeted for this card, and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's team or his dad came out and said, yeah, we're probably not going to be fighting Darren Till. And for whatever reason, we all know that there's been multiple reasons, whether it's the injuries or just Stephen Thompson wants to fight up, which that doesn't really work because RDA is the only place Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's ranked #1 in the division right now. So there's not really anywhere up for Stephen Wonderboy Thompson to fight, especially with Dana White confirming Tyron Woodley versus RDA is the fight to make. So we might still get the Darren Till versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fight, but if it does happen, it probably won't be in UFC London. And if it doesn't happen, one other fight that I think makes a lot of sense for UFC London is Darren Till versus Gunnar Nelson. These guys have said that they've agreed verbally to fight in the past. They've said they're down to fight each other. And also UFC London is on St. Patrick's Day. Artem Lobov versus Bruce Leroy would be on the card. You know, I'm sure Conor McGregor's going to be in the stands. St. Patrick's Day, you could have the Irish aspect of Gunnar Nelson and fucking, you know, just because he's Conor McGregor's teammate. I know he's not actually Irish or whatever, but just because he's Conor McGregor's teammate, as well as Artem Lobov, there's the St. Patrick's Day part, and then UFC London, Darren Till. It just seemed like the perfect fight to make. Darren Till versus Gunnar Nelson, St. Patrick's Day, UFC London. To me, that seems like the fight to make if Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's not down to fight Darren Till. Now, if Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's team changes their tune and they do decide to accept the fight with Darren Till is down to do that, and it doesn't even have to be in London. So that's pretty cool to see. But the thing about that is that would have Darren Till sidelined a little longer than we would have expected, because he fought Donald Cerrone. I don't know. It's going on about 4 or 5 months now. So how long is it going to be in between Darren Till's fights now? Is it going to start being like 2 Darren Till fights a year when he was down to fight 4 times a year, but now he's letting the UFC and his team take his career more in their hands and pick his fights for him? So are they, if it's up to them, I hope they don't say, yeah, but he's only going to fight like twice a year. I don't know. But with that being said, we'll see what happens with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's team, if they're down to fight if they've changed their tune on the Darren Till fight or not. But Darren Till's down to fight him anywhere, anytime, any place. And he's also not too fond of Kamaru Usman's 30% comments, which not too many people were. So let the full-time family know what you think in the comments. I'm out.
Da 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 da. It's the motherfucking DOWG.